Hello you beautiful misfits, my name is Matt and this is Pixel Burn, where I take a snarky look at some of the more important, interesting or irritating things to have happened in the week's gaming news. And what better way to mark my return to vaguely contemporary gaming news reportage than with some stories loosely connected by a single theme. Loot boxes, that pernicious urinary tract infection of a game mechanic, have featured prominently in the news this week, thanks in no small part to the recent release of Middle-earth: Shadow of War, which is damn well saturated with the things and, reportedly, amps up the difficulty at certain points in the game to tempt you into buying them. Allegedly. For the one person out there who is blessedly ignorant of loot boxes, they're virtual treasure chests available to purchase in a game, either with in-game currency or real money, that promise all sorts of magical treats upon opening them. Treats comprised entirely of pixels and code, of course, but treats nonetheless, with the majority being purely cosmetic. Overwatch is arguably the current poster child for cosmetic loot boxes, although it's by no means the first game to have implemented them. Entire generations had already lived, bought Team Fortress 2 hats and then died before it was even a glimmer in Blizzard's eye. Nevertheless, they are a fundamental part of the game's progression system. Play enough Overwatch matches and you get a loot crate containing either a new character skin, new emote, voice taunt, in-game currency or graffiti spray to add to your collection. And if there's a specific character skin you're after, you can unlock it with the aforementioned in-game currency. Sounds reasonable enough, right? Well, yes. Until you get to the seasonal outfits available for a limited time only. So if you want, say, this particular witch outfit for Mercy for example, you'd have to play a hell of a lot of Overwatch during October for a chance to acquire it. Even if you do devote all that time, however, there's no guarantee any of the loot boxes you get will actually contain it, or that you'll have enough in-game credits collected to unlock it directly. Alternatively, for varying sums of your regional currency, you can buy as many loot boxes as you like, from 2 to 50 at a time, directly from Blizzard. They're still entirely cosmetic, however. You might want them, but you don't need them. And you certainly won't get any measurable in-game benefits from them. Except maybe a placebo effect boost to your self-esteem? Loot boxes can provide more tangible in-game benefits, however, such as the ones in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2's loot crates, which can be purchased either with in-game magic space money or physical meat-based dinero, contain special star cards that give you very obvious in-game advantages. More health, damage boosts, weapon power-ups or healing abilities for you and your teammates. They can be yours in an instant, all at the click of a button and a modest deduction from your bank account. In short, unlike with Overwatch, you can pay real money to increase your chance of a win. You know, I'm sure there's a specific term for that sort of thing. What was it? Something with a number in it? Cash for victory? No, that's dumb. Damn, it's right on the tip of my tongue. This increasing prevalence of real money loot boxes in games has made some people, perhaps quite rightly, concerned enough to petition the British government for an amendment to existing gambling laws, arguing that loot boxes are a form of gambling and should be more stringently regulated to protect both children and vulnerable adults. In addition to this, the Labour MP for Cambridge, Daniel Zeichner, also officially submitted 2 questions to Parliament on the subject. The official response from Her Majesty's government to these inquiries was a vague, unsatisfying, wanky non-answer about how protecting children and vulnerable people from being harmed or exploited by gambling is a priority for the government. They did, however, clarify that items that can be traded or exchanged outside of a game, like CSGO skins for example, acquire a monetary value. Meaning skin casinos like the now defunct CSGO Lotto, by law, require a licence from the Gambling Commission to operate. In their response, the government also provided a link to this report by the Gambling Commission released in March, and a promise that they're the ones keeping an eye on the situation. Although according to the UK Gambling Commission, loot boxes don't count as gambling because their contents have no real-world monetary value. Except in the cases where their contents can be traded on third-party sites for real-world cash outside the game. Yeah, this is where things start getting a bit Schrodinger's cat. Or rather, Schrodinger's casino chips. Does the loot box have a monetary value or not? Well, that depends on whether or not you open it and whether or not its contents are tradable outside the game. Even if you paid cold hard cash for it, according to the laws of the UK and elsewhere, it's technically worthless. Except when it isn't. Like with skins for CSGO or hats for Team Fortress 2, or indeed a certain red bandana in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, for which some people have 700 fucking quid! Okay, let's try and make some sense of this together, shall we? You're buying something that has no legal monetary value, but has a potential one. That depends on a number of factors, yet ultimately boils down to plain old luck of the draw. Sounds a bit like lottery tickets, doesn't it? Which are considered gambling and regulated accordingly. That's what China's Ministry of Culture thought in December of 2016, when it passed regulations classifying loot boxes as a kind of lottery ticket and requiring publishers to divulge the chances of getting rare, epic or legendary items from them. Which briefly gave us an interesting glimpse into the stats for these sorts of things, in China at least, until Activision Blizzard sidestepped these new restrictions by giving loot boxes away for free with any purchase of in-game currency. The idea being that since you're not directly paying for a virtual lottery ticket, you don't really need to know the odds of winning, do you? Pay to win! That's what I was trying to remember earlier. Elsewhere in Asia, South Korea's National Assembly tried in 2015 to pass an amendment to their existing games industry regulation requiring companies to divulge the drop rates for items granted by loot crates. While the amendment failed to pass, it did give the South Korean games industry enough of a kick up the bum to make a show of self-regulating, although the National Assembly remain unconvinced. In 2012, Japan banned what it calls kompu gacha, whereby certain items obtained from loot boxes can be combined into a single, much rarer item. 2 years after that, the government of Singapore passed the Remote Gambling Act, which included virtual credits, virtual coins, virtual tokens, virtual objects or any similar thing that is purchased in relation to a game of chance. This was later rectified, after some games industry lobbying, to exempt virtual currencies which can be used to buy or redeem other entertainment products, like Steam Wallet funds for example. It may surprise you however to know there's one place I haven't mentioned that's gone further than China and even a step ahead of Singapore in tackling the legal tangle around virtual items and magic pixel money. That accolade goes to none other than the Isle of Man, a self-governing crown dependency slap bang in the middle of the Irish Sea. As of February this year, under Manx law, as it's called, virtual items are defined as being money's worth, even if they're not convertible into meat space coinage. So that black shirt in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds I bought for 7 pence worth of trading cards on the Steam marketplace has, according to Manx law, real-world monetary value. Same applies to that witch outfit for Mercy, whether the loot box it came in was bought directly from Blizzard or won through hard graft and skill. As well as providing some clarification on the matter, the Isle of Man have also knocked a hole in the arguments against loot boxes as gambling from the ESRB and PEGI, its European counterpart. Both adhere to the UK Gambling Commission's stance that since virtual items have no monetary value, except in the Isle of Man obviously, loot boxes cannot be considered a form of gambling. Hence why PEGI won't put its gambling label on anything that doesn't simulate real-world games of chance. So Telltale's Poker Night 2, which won't ever charge you a penny more than the cost of buying the game itself, gets a PEGI gambling sticker. Star Wars Battlefront 2, however, which allows you to keep paying more real-world cash for the chance of winning certain in-game benefits, does not. Indeed, both the ESRB and PEGI have compared loot boxes to packets of Pokemon cards, the rationale being that since you're guaranteed to get something for your purchase, it's not like proper gambling at a casino or your local bookies for example, where you can end up walking away with absolutely nothing. Now, does anyone else see the contradiction here? Because surely if loot boxes and their contents have no inherent legal monetary value, then the very act of buying one and unpacking it means you technically walk away with nothing. Which, by the definition so kindly proffered by the ESRB and PEGI, would be considered gambling. But Matt, some virtual items only have a potential value, like lottery tickets, which are considered gambling. That is covered by existing gambling legislation, so why not slap a gambling label on them? Not all games let you sell items outside the game itself, the majority are closed systems that... Fine, so not all games let you sell your knickknacks on third-party sites. Why not then only put the guidance label on games that allow you to sell virtual items outside the game itself? I mean, you put blimmin' fear warnings on scary games for crying out loud. And it's a spider, which terrify me. It's not our job to regulate, that is for individual governments to decide. Your industry's self-regulatory bodies. Isn't it your chief purpose to preempt direct government intervention? So much for self-regulation, eh? It appears the industry would rather wait for the technically proficient, internet-savvy members of insert any government here to step in and arbitrate the matter with all the knowledge, wisdom and subtlety they're known for. I'm sure they wouldn't do something like extend the definition of loot boxes as gambling to things like Pokemon cards, Panini sticker packs, Lego minifig blind bags and other socially acceptable forms of gambling marketed to children. I mean, that is essentially what they are. Gambling for kids. Don't get your pants in a twist, Pokemon fans. I'm being rhetorical. Besides, the obvious counterpoint there is you're getting a physically tangible product in your Panini football sticker pack or Lego blind bag. Something you can hold in your clammy little hands and won't ever get snatched away by a random server error. So it's not the rare Luke Skywalker minifig you really wanted. It's still Lego. Who doesn't love Lego? Anyhow, while Peggy and the ESRB wring their hands over profit versus proactiveness, the games industry will no doubt continue pushing AAA games ever closer to that obnoxious games as a service model, where your entry fee of $60 or regional equivalent will, rather than getting you a complete experience, instead be the first of many tolls a publisher gradually milks from you over an extended period of time. Whether you just have zero spare time to wade through artificial grind or a latent, potentially life-ruining gambling addiction, doesn't matter. You're just more grist for the fucking mill. Another ambulatory money container begging to be teased, tempted or otherwise cajoled open, then emptied into a bank account in the Cayman Islands. On the bright side, at least publishers are only pestering you to buy loot boxes for the moment. It's not like they're, say, deliberately matchmaking your noobish self with veterans who've spanked a ton of money on cool pay-to-win weapons, with the intention that you get your ass kicked, see what weapon your murderer used to destroy you with in a kill cam, then get it into your head that maybe if you bought that weapon too, you could even the odds. Not yet at least, but probably soon if Activision get their way. This month Activision was finally granted a patent they filed in 2015 that, fuck it, let's not mince words, it's for an abstract system called System and Method for Driving Microtransactions in Multiplayer Video Games that does what it says on the tin, to convince you to spank cash on microtransactions in multiplayer games. That's not the only thing in it, there's also a system for soft reserving multiplayer slots for people on your friends list, which isn't too bad I suppose, but it's the microtransaction incentives that really stand out by how obnoxious and insidious they are. Here's a little choice morsel of the patent for you. You might want to have a sick bag on hand for this. The microtransaction engine may analyze various items used by marquee players and, if the items are being promoted for sale, match the marquee player with another player, for example a junior player, that does not use or own the items. Similarly, the microtransaction engine may identify items to be promoted, identify marquee players that use those items, and match the marquee players with other players who do not use those items. In this manner, the microtransaction engine may leverage the matchmaking abilities described herein to influence purchase decisions for game-related purchases. My, how fucking aspirational. Here's another bite. In a particular example, the junior player may wish to become an expert sniper in a game, e.g. as determined from the player profile. The microtransaction engine may match the junior player with a player that is a highly skilled sniper in the game. In this manner, the junior player may be encouraged to make game-related purchases, such as a rifle or other item used by the marquee player. So if you like using shotguns for example, then a hypothetical game infested with this patented system will pair you up with other buckshot buckaroos, all with fancier lead pellet dispensers than the one you have and probably hunting you down like a dog. For example, if the player purchased a particular weapon, the microtransaction engine may match the player in a gameplay session in which the particular weapon is highly effective, giving the player an impression that the particular weapon was a good purchase. This may encourage the player to make future purchases to achieve similar gameplay results. In other words, not only could you be matched up with shotgun enthusiasts, but you could be dropped onto a map specifically designed to cater to shotgun enthusiasts. So you'd better hope the algorithm doesn't mistake that one time you fired a shotgun because you ran out of sniper ammo as genuine enthusiasm. In response to the article on Glixel, Activision issued the following statement. This was an exploratory patent filed in 2015 by an R&D team working independently from our game studios. It has not been implemented in-game. Bungie have also strenuously denied any such system existing in Destiny 2. Which is probably little comfort to the poor bastards running the Leviathan raid over and over and over and over again, purely to get that rare single-use shader for each and every piece of their armour. As awful as that patent sounds though, at least it's only for multiplayer games, eh? There'll always be single-player games. Except that Star Wars one from Amy Hennig. Indeed, we close on a sad note this week with the news that Visceral Games, best known for the Dead Space trilogy, has been abruptly shuttered by EA, and that as many of the team as possible are being shifted to other projects and teams at EA. Visceral, as you may already know, were at the time working on a single-player Star Wars game directed by Amy Hennig, best known for her work on the Uncharted and Soul Reaver series. According to this blog post on EA's website by Executive Vice President Patrick Soderlund, the game itself has not been cancelled, but has now been taken over by a team from EA Vancouver, with the assistance of people from all across EA Worldwide Studios. The reason for this abrupt shake-up was part of a process to refocus the design of Visceral's story-based linear adventure game, you know, the kind of game Visceral were best known for and pretty damn good at making, into a broader experience that allows for more variety and player agency, in order to give players a Star Wars adventure of greater depth and breadth to explore, and deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come. Oh, you know what that means, don't you folks? That's right, multiplayer loot boxes and microtransactions galore, because only multiplayer games offer fucking replayability, don't they? Never mind XCOM, Civilization, The Witcher 3, Fallout New Vegas, Dishonored, Stellaris, Prison Architect, or any other single player game that offers buckets of the stuff you might care to think of. Nope, if it can't be monetized post-launch with microtransactions, then it's dead weight in EA's eyes. Chop it up, salvage what you can, and then repurpose it into a Frankenstein's monster designed to squeeze liquid gold out someone's skull. All because some suit at EA has been closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. Oh no. Oh god, this is going to be another PUBG knockoff, isn't it? I can see it now. 100 assorted scum and villains dropped onto Hoth or Tatooine or a fucking Ewok village on Endor. Instead of a frying pan, ooh, you find a lightsaber. Instead of a Dacia, you drive a snowspeeder. Red aerial bombardment zones are instead green Star Destroyer orbital bombardment zones. Oh, fuck me, I hope this isn't another Bayonetta in Smash Brothers Prophecy. I don't want to be right about this one. But then I also don't want another PUBG. I already have PUBG. I wanted an Amy Hennig directed single player story driven Star Wars game. Is that too much to ask? Apparently so. Regarding Amy Hennig herself, in response to a request for comment from IGN, EA replied that they are in discussions with Amy about her next move, and that they will be continuing to use a great deal of the work that has been done to date. The assets of the game that has already been built will be the foundation of this new game. Amy herself has not issued any public statement, but we can reasonably deduce how she's feeling from this interview she did with Glixel, in which she said the following. Imagine how heartbreaking it would be to work on something I loved so much, only to be crushed under the combined wheels of EA, Lucasfilm and Disney. So there you have it folks. If you want a picture of the future of AAA video games, imagine a loot box stamping on a vulnerable adult's face. Forever. That's all for this episode of Pixel Burn. If you liked it, then please do let me know by clicking the requisite button somewhere down below there. And let your friends, family, your dog and the UK Gambling Commission know as well. At the very least, I hope you found it tolerable. Although if you didn't, well, you too could purchase the opportunity to win a video more in sync with your own personal tastes by way of your very own Bitscreed Box. Want to see more of my cat? Wish I'd dressed up like a pirate for this one? Perhaps you would have preferred to see me review President Xi Jinping's 3.5-hour speech at the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China. All of these and more can be yours for the modest sum of only £4.99 per box, or your regional equivalent. Collect all 100 videos and combine them into the Bitscreed Bollockganza, containing over 20 seconds of exclusive footage from Half-Life 3, Sleeping Dogs 2, Amy Hennig's Star Wars game before it was repurposed into a soulless multiplayer loot box extravaganza, and more! Offer not available in Japan. Meanwhile, till next time, as always, you can go now.